All right. Well, I guess we're live. What's going on, everybody? I think we're live. Let's see here. I'm going to refresh my stream here just to see. And yeah, it looks like we're live. So, this is our MycoFest wrap up talk. Um, these are some of the people I got to meet, and they've been a part of my journey at MycoFest. And I wanted to bring everybody here and introduce everybody, and ultimately just make this a part of everybody's memory, give them a place to come back to, and share their experiences. I've had some experiences over the last few years, and this year was no different. So yeah, Mr. Jeff, well, first, I'm Shroom Day. Um, you guys met me as Chris. Everybody on my channel here knows me as Shroom Day. So I guess we're gonna just kind of go around and introduce ourselves. We got Mr. Jeff to my right, and then we have my friend Jay right next to him. Right down in the lower left, we got Raheem. And then we got Jaden down in the bottom center. He is also known as the medical mycologist, and my brother Maui down in the lower right-hand corner. So I hope everybody's well tonight. Mr. Jeff, how about you come in and introduce yourself and tell us who you are and how you got your name, maybe, or what brought you here? Why are you with us tonight?
Good evening. I'm Mr.
You're
Jeff.
muted. Oh,
Hey,
I
can you
muted?
hear me now?
I can hear you now. I muted myself.
Perfect. Oh, we're good. Hey, it's Mr. Jeff, Pennsylvania's favorite rock star mushroom hunter, or at least that's what I call myself. Um, this is my fourth year of MycoFest, and my first time live meeting Shroom Day. So it was an awesome MycoFest. I became Mr. Jeff partly because of mushrooms. We might get into that a little bit. So
All right,
where do
man.
we go from here? Next.
Let's take it over to Jay. Jay, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing well, very well.
I'm glad. That's what I like to hear. What's up, everybody? My name is Jay. I am based out of Colorado. Um, Similar to other people, I got my name Jay Manifest through the mushrooms. Really, I guess I'll get into it a little bit. I got my name because I felt like I wasn't fully in control of my reality, and the mushrooms allowed me to manifest my reality. So I kind of got that name through using them to, you know, get what I want out of life, realizing my power.
Awesome. Awesome. Raheem, how are you?
It's good to be here. It's Rahima with the A.
Rahima, okay.
Yeah, but I'm doing well. I'm in Northern Virginia, fairly close to Washington D.C., and I've also been attending MycoFest. This was my fourth year. After the first year, I was like, well, I want to be a part of this, and just well, so I've really been enjoying volunteering and getting to know on organizationally and helping out. I like that involvement. It does a lot for me of getting to know people better. Honestly, I learn better that way. And for me, mushrooms and just being out in nature, being outside is really important for my mental health. I just
Mm-hmm.
need to be outside, and I'm curious. I want to know what is this and what is that, and like the different properties of plants, fungus, all of this. And mushrooms, especially, have this so many cool superpowers. They're just like, they taste good, they're yummy, some of them, and then some of them have these medicinal properties. Just so it's been a fun journey to learn about them.
That's awesome. I'm glad you're here with us tonight. Thank you. Down in the middle, we got Caden. Caden is also known as the medical mycologist. What's going on, man?
How's it going, everybody? I'm Caden. I'm the medicinal mycologist, and I guess I'll dive in just a tad how I got my name. I had chronic depression for almost 3.5 years, and then about 3 years ago, to the month almost, I had a life-changing experience on psychedelic mushrooms, psilocybe cubensis, and from that day, I've had not a single day where I felt depressed. There's been ups and downs, but I've just been, you know, a happy, healthy, more so than most people that I know person, or that's how I would describe it. And so that's why I started my business and got the name of the medicinal mycologist by helping other people and trying to help the world grow. It's
Nice,
great to
man.
be here.
Thanks. Maui, how you doing?
Yo, what's up?
Maui was one of the organizers. He was helping out, making sure all of the coordinators and volunteers were where they needed to be. Maui was a huge part of the event this year.
Yeah, it was wild because I did not plan that. So I was YouTubing and came across William Padilla-Brown, and then saw that he had a MycoFest. So then I was excited about it. Clicked through the very little, presence that it had out there that I saw, and then when I pulled up to volunteer, Emily was just like, "You're gonna help run this with me," and I was like, "Okay." So,
oh wow! So you just stepped in it, huh?
Yeah, because it's my first year. It's my first year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I just stepped up, and that's what it became, and it was awesome. I'm so glad, because I would have not that's the way, like Rahima was saying, being in that space made it that much richer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, volunteering has become a huge part of it for me. Just helping the event happen. I'm all about making that thing as successful as possible. Will, and during his speech, he had said people were walking up to him and said, "This is my home. This is my church. This is it." And I'm one of those people that had the opportunity to speak with him and let him know. I felt more comfortable hanging out there with all you people than, let me rephrase that. I felt comfortable talking to you guys and saying certain things that people in my own personal life just don't understand. When it comes to mushrooms, when it comes to the natural plant medicines, and just everything that just comes with these things. For each of us, it's probably a little different, but it's a rabbit hole. And nobody here close to me has dove down that hole. And I've never run into so many people where I was able to just speak freely, and nobody laughed. Nobody looked at me like, "Wow, you're a little weird." Everybody got it. And everybody's in it for kind of the same thing, for our own health, physical and mental health. They both go hand in hand. So for Will to put that community together, I am just totally grateful, and I'm in it for whatever they need. And, I'm making it a point to bust my butt while I'm there, just to let them know, I want to see it succeed. I want to see it happen every year. Give us a place to go back to and meet up with each other again, because it's like a family. I met a lot of you guys. Mr. Jeff, I saw there 3 years ago on my first year, along with Fungi Flows. I got to see Will on the first year. We share a mutual friend, which is what brought me there, and which is what brought me back last year and introduced me to Priyanka, who brought me back this year. And, they made me feel good to let me know I'm welcome back every year to go and be one of the volunteers and just be a part of it. So, yeah, it's something special for a lot of people. So
I definitely think it's a really special thing, and something that's on my mind, since Mr. Jeff is going to be leaving us shorter, more quickly than everybody else. I'd like to hear his mushroom story, if that's something that you'd be agree
Yeah,
with.
actually, I wanted to jump into that. So, Mr. Jeff, I wanted to talk to you a little bit, and hear from you a little bit, if you're willing to talk to us. Ultimately, what brought you to the fungus? How did you meet the fungus? How did they myceliate your inner consciousness, and why are you here with us tonight?
So, first of all, what I'm about to say, I've never said on my own YouTube channel. I've not kind of revealed anything about personally how I've anything has happened with using any kind of psychedelics or mushrooms, right? So you get it first here, guys. Anyway,
Yeah, you man. Thank you.
Well, it's kind of important because this is kind of the new church for me, the new family, whatever we want to call it. And one thing I never want it to become is some strict kind of cultish religion or something like that. And I don't think it has to be to still have that type of experience. But nonetheless, um, midlife crisis, I suppose. I had gotten a divorce, and I had also left a fundamentalist religion. So losing family and faith and like your bubble that you're in, losing all that leaves you kind of naked, exposed, and like where do you go from here with life?
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't looking for mushrooms. They sort of found me. Um, I was, I looked at it at the time as having to relocate. I was kind of, life was doing something to me. I was just a victim of everything happening to me, having to move to PA, coming from more of an urban life to middle of nowhere PA. I have other expressions for it. I'm going to be polite, but I didn't want to live out here. And I had a close friend out here, someone that I knew from years past that I reconnected with, who got me work. That was important. I needed work when I came out here, so I got a job immediately doing something I had never done before with heating and cooling. But I'm just thinking to myself, I'm taking what I can get, just getting by at this point. And he started teaching me about the land, the woods, and he introduced me to mushrooms. I'm talking turkey tail, birch polypore, some of the common mushrooms that are out in these woods. And then it was around the same time. I don't know if you're all familiar with Paul Stamets' documentary Fantastic Fungi, but watching that documentary early on in my time back here, this was around the time of COVID and such, where I'm spending more time in the woods and I'm starting to actually become fascinated with the woods. But it was actually experiencing a psychedelic dose of mushrooms that had me change my mind, like totally, completely flip the script on how I saw myself, what I recognized myself to be, and also what I recognized this land around me to be.
Yeah.
And brought the connectedness that needed to be there. Coming from my fundamentalist background, we viewed the earth as something to be dominated, that it was almost like property that who cares what happens to it almost. To now I see myself as there's me in that, and there's that in me. And it changed everything. And also, being that now I'm into the woods and what's out there, I'm a little weird. The mushrooms out in the woods are a little weird too. I found something connected to me and fungi on some kind of personal level, and I just embraced the whole searching for mushrooms. And the Mr. Jeff name came from my Baptist roots. That was the name the kids called me in the church ministries. And I felt like I just wanted to redeem that title and put it toward this new passion that I fell in love with. And I use that as my name, Mr. Jeff, as a mushroom hunter. And, as whatever I call myself on the internet, I definitely don't take myself too seriously, but I definitely use this egoic character as something that I hope, bless people with. Almost ironically, because people think I'm just some character that's all full of himself. And maybe I play that role well. I hope I do. But when you see me at MycoFest, I hope I don't act that way, because in real life, I'm someone that wants other people to be blessed and see blessings in something like mushrooms or whatever it is in nature. Maybe you find blessings in finding stones or frogs, but get back to nature. The mushrooms taught me that.
Yeah, man. Now, Rahima's time is also running a little short. So, Rahima, I wanted to ask you, what are you able to take away from MycoFest? Is it as much? Are you feeling as much of the community, or is it the knowledge shared, or is it just a multitude of things?
Yeah, it's definitely the multitude of things, and I think particularly the community aspect, which is not what I was looking for. I'm like really happy by myself. I like being in the woods by myself, in the mountains and traveling. Um, but then you want to talk to people and you know be like, who else thinks like this about these things, you know? So then you find your people, you're like, oh, me too, and it's exciting, and you just grow from that. You know, internally, externally, all of that. You learn more, you grow. So I realized, yeah, I do love being by myself and I love my solitude, but you have to have a frame of reference in the world with other people. We are social beings in that regard as well. So you have to have that good mixture of solitude and social. And I think community is a big part of it. And so for me, it's important to constantly be outside, and then the mushrooms as food, as medicine, bring people together so beautifully, I think. And they're unique. Each of them are really unique based on their environment, perhaps. Like the first time I went to Colorado and looked for mushrooms at Telluride, I was like, oh, this is a completely different environment for me, right? That's where I met Jay. So different than Virginia and Appalachia. So it's exciting. There's a whole lot more to this world. There's the microcosm of me and my life, but then there's the macrocosm of the universe and the earth and all of this.
Yeah.
And they reverberate with each other. They're in tune with one another. And if you don't connect with people like you guys and connect with the woods, you don't feel those connections. You don't feel that reverberation. Then it's like silent. And we don't really work well in total silence. That's just, you know, we need dynamic environments. And
ain't that the truth?
Yeah. So, and for me also, like, I think like so many of us often talk about, just how do you deal with the weird pressures of modern life and then depression and all of these things, right? Because we do live in this world. There's real things that we can't really avoid. I have a family. I've got, you know, a job, various things. And dealing with depression was a big issue it still is. And I thought, well, I'd like to try this avenue. So I did that. I grew my own mushrooms because I was like, I don't know who to trust, you know, but I had to meet the people that I could trust. But I was like, well, I'm going to figure this out myself, which I did. But then I was able to do even more with other people. And it's not completely about one aspect of the mushrooms. It's all of it. It's very holistic.
Oh, absolutely.
And I really appreciate that.
Beautiful. Mr. Jeff, what are you taking out of MycoFest, man? What keeps you going back?
Each year is something different and more, you know, it just grows. It's escalated from years prior. It's like you think it can't get better. You go back again, it gets better. I got to stop thinking it's not. I kind of stumbled upon MycoFest in year one on just the last day. Somebody told me about a famous mushroom hunter, Alan Rockefeller, was local in Pennsylvania. So I drove and linked up and got to see him. And then also got to meet William Padilla-Brown. Thought he was a different person altogether. It's another story. So, but it introduced me to MycoFest as a thing. And I said, I got to go back. Year two was at Tamaqua. And that's when I saw that, wow, there's a whole mushroom scene. There's this music scene. I thought I was the only guy making mushroom music. Met Fungi Flows. I was totally amazed by him and the fact that there was people out there making current music about mushrooms.
Yep.
And so I was like, yep, I'm going to link up with these people, follow them. So that was probably what I got out of that year. The following year was here at our last place, Center Hall. There I stumbled upon another famous mycologist who's underground. I kind of stumbled upon him in person, and that kind of took me aback. So I made this connect there. That was amazing because I had been following this guy online for, I don't know, a few years. So to meet him in person, even on an accident, he introduced himself to who he was online, and I was like, wow. So I guess each year I get a different thing, a different connect. I also got to connect that same year with Hamilton Morris. So to have these two connects, or that people that I'm talking to who I've watched on the internet and learned from, and mushroom chemistry is just a huge passion of mine.
Mm-hmm.
So that was what I got out of last year. It kind of boosted my my feelings about that and how much it meant to me, I suppose. So I've been learning more about that. That's something I still do. And then this year, I felt like, wow, I got something spiritual out of this year. I was more open about talking about my personal experience with psychedelics. I really hadn't opened up about that till this MycoFest, and
Yeah.
hence why I'm open about it now. I literally talked about it publicly for the first time, I suppose, or not semi-publicly, like with people in conversation, not on
Mhm.
any platform. But here I am talking about it now because it's like this needs to be shared. I mean, I understand people have the reasons to not talk about it. Some of it might be legal, some of it might be a career or whatever. So people in their time whenever. But if you feel compelled to do it, it's probably good to do so.
Yeah.
Because there's somebody who might just need to hear that from you.
A lot of the
I don't
things I
know.
talk about now is in past tense because not everything I had to do was agreed upon by society. So now that it's over, I feel comfortable talking about it. Nobody's going to come knocking on
Sorry.
the door
I'm still
because,
here.
like Rahima, I had to cultivate my own in order to get started on my journey and figure it out. You know, it's not necessarily easy figuring it out sometimes. You know, I don't know how long it took. Rahima, how long did it take, just out of curiosity, to grow your first cultivation? Was there a lot of trial and error, or was it pretty successful?
I had my own mental blocks of like, oh, this is really complicated because, you watch all these videos and you're like, whoa, they've got some industrial setups that I was like, I don't know if I. And then I was like, whatever, let's just try it. And I alcohol sprayed down everything and like just plastic boxes. No, it was really easy. It was very smooth for me, and I mean, I
Wow.
attribute that to I got what I needed at the time that I needed. Things just
Mhm.
worked well for me. I'm sure that's not always the case, but and that stuff I got second, third flushes, and I was like, I think I'm good. Like that lasted. I was like, so anybody else want some? Because I just had too much.
Nice.
It was amazing, and it came at a time that I really needed it. And I don't. It's yeah, it worked out easily for me. But I did learn from people. Like I talked to people first and did
Yeah.
my research and all of that. And I think what was it like? It was like in one winter. That's really how long it took me.
Okay. Now, I haven't acknowledged the chat at all, and I apologize for that. I'm not very good at streaming and paying attention to everybody's what they got going on in the chats too. So I see your comments, and I appreciate you for being here with us. And I apologize for not responding to everybody. But all right, so I know Mr. Jeff and Rahima's time is short, and I really just wanted to make sure they had their voice, and like ultimately, either one of you are like allowed to say whatever you need to before you go. Is there any message that you want to, this is about MycoFest. So ultimately, is there anything, any experience you've had at MycoFest? What's the one thing you would want to share with everybody to convince them to join us?
I think for me, I would say, we all have our fears and apprehensions, or maybe we're shy or anxious about it. And be brave and just start talking to people. Just tell somebody you would like something, whether it's a T-shirt or you have a question for them. All the speakers that have these great books and all these great networks, they are so down to earth. It is totally worth saying hi, having a conversation, and just showing up. You're gonna get something wonderful out of it.
While I was there, I was in charge of the sanitation. I was walking around most of the time doing trash. And I found myself at one point, I had a smile on my face, just looking around, while I'm tying up this nasty trash bag that was overfull and stuff it spilled all over it. And I'm smiling, just looking around at the community. And I look down and I realize that I'm able to smile while I'm doing this. And it's just like, I don't know any other place in the world where I can smile while changing out this nasty garbage. So it really is a whole new experience. Mr. Jeff, same question, man. What would you want to say to people? What would you share with them to convince them to join us if you could?
For sure. This is a place that you're blessed to be there. And I go there to be a blessing. I go there with the intent to serve. How can I help somebody? I've done this show before a couple times, and I'm like, there's a lot of new faces. And just being kind to folks and offering a hand. I wasn't going there to get anything, but I found that people were blessing me more than I could keep up with, whether it was competition or not. It wasn't, right? But wow, meeting a lot of folks that all walks of life, all different stories, but everybody was looking out for each other. Everybody was offering hands. And of course, I'm saying personally to you, Shroom Day, that meeting you and getting to see you live and seeing you, how you run, how you move, I guess is the way to say. Is that what the kids say? How you move? I appreciate you.
Dude, meeting you, Mr. Jeff, this year in person was definitely one of my highlights. And I look forward to becoming friends and getting to know you more and seeing you again, for sure.
For sure. Hey, it was my pleasure getting to see all of you guys again. Look forward to next year. To me, I wish we could have something even more often, even if it wasn't MycoFest proper, but smaller packets, a one-day event that's kind of out of season in the fall or in the spring that just keeps folks in touch. Whether it's just a day of myco, like mushroom hunting, and then getting together for a nighttime of music or something and food, but having events that's just more localized, because this is a community. I hope it is anyway. It is for me, and it's good to see folks. I want to see people more than once a year. On that note, I don't even know what time it is. If I'm past, I'm okay. Is it past 9?
Nah, you got a couple more minutes.
Hey, I'm going to hold on for a few more minutes, but if I dip out, you understand. Thank you guys.
Yeah,
I'm just sitting back and listening.
I'm gonna try to listen in, but I really appreciate seeing everybody's faces, and Maui, Jay, all of you guys, Chris. It was an honor working with all of you, and I look forward to future meetings and meetups and all of that.
The honor was mine, really. I thank you for being a part of this, and I look forward to seeing you again next year. And we got the chat here on the side, so don't be a stranger.
All right, cool. Have a good night, guys.
See you too.
See you later.
Thanks for joining us.
Who wants to go next?
Man, I'll go next.
Jay, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Blessed, man. Blessed. If there's any background noise, I'm sorry. At a
You're
public
good.
park.
Nope, you sound great.
All right, cool. Like Maui, this was my first MycoFest. And I've only been to one other mushroom festival, the Telluride Mushroom Festival out here in Colorado. But MycoFest was much different. Similar in some ways, but much different. The biggest thing that I took from MycoFest was just the community. On my side here, I do a lot of solo stuff. Like everything I do is solo. I travel solo, I forage solo, like I'm alone all the time. So one of the things that I was looking for to go was just to be in this rich community and be around like-minded people, because that's usually what, going to a mushroom festival entails. But being at Center Hall was so unique, that in the fact that the nice tight-knit community, it felt like almost like a little commune. Everybody was given their part to the festival. It was so loving and accepting, and people of all walks of life. That's something that kind of Telluride not lax, but it's not as abundant there.
Okay.
So like the community feel is just so enriching and so spiritual and so like heavy emotionally to just be around
It
all
is.
those good people, those kind-hearted people. It's kind of hard to explain in words of how amazing that experience was. But my first MycoFest was one for the books for sure.
This was my third year, and every year I come home and I feel like I'm riding a high. Like
Absolutely.
just nothing can shake me right now. Everything is perfect, and it's the way it's supposed to be.
I keep like taking the word, like I think Rahima said this as well, like connect, like the connections, and like Jay was saying, like just like it felt like a commune, like it was a moment of like, well, a series of moments, right? A weekend of everyone happy to do their part to make sure that everyone was chilling and good and happy and learning and thriving, even, right? So it was
Mhm.
it it I when you say I don't know how to explain it in words, it's hard to explain it in words how genuine and real all of that was, and to be blessed enough to be a part of it was, it was wild. It was wild, and like to have mushrooms bring that level of connection. I don't know, man. That is
Now,
just insane.
now let me ask you guys this. So I guess we'll just go around. What brought you to your first year of MycoFest? How'd you find out about it, and how long ago was it? Caden. Yeah,
I'll,
man.
I'll go off on this one, I guess. I found out about it actually through, I'm not sure if any of you guys are familiar with Mr. Anderson. His name's Jesse. He runs Jungle Packs LLC. He does like these really cool all-in-one grow bags.
Okay.
And he had told me that he was going, and I looked into it, and so it really kind of came about through my Instagram account, because that's where I've made all my connections before MycoFest. It's just been through meeting people on Instagram and just the amazing community feel that had, which was just like totally stepped up when I went to MycoFest. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
was just incredible. You pull in there and people that, you're expecting everybody to kind of be like, you're just driving past people. No, like they turn around, they wave at you, they're intentional. Like you can just tell you're around like-minded people that are really there for each other when you go to MycoFest. They're not just there to be there.
Oh yeah. How long ago was that?
How long ago was what that I started my Instagram account,
No,
or
did you say your first year? That was 4 years ago?
no, my first year. This was my first year actually here
Oh,
this year at MycoFest. Yeah, just like Maui and Jay. It was incredible being there for the first time with you guys. And I mean, I met Maui, I think, at one point, and possibly even Jay, but it's so hard to remember. Just so immersed in meeting all these amazing people.
so I really thought I met you there last year. For some reason, I had it in my head that you and I had conversation last year. So is it just through Instagram?
It might have been through Instagram. Yeah, I found your YouTube channel a couple months back, and we may have had a conversation or two at some point on there.
Wow. I don't know. For some reason, I can remember a conversation being had, but I guess I'm wrong.
I don't know if anybody else wants to go here.
Maui, this is your first year?
Yep. I wanted to start growing some cordyceps, so I just like YouTube search cordyceps, right? And then of course William Padilla-Brown pops. It was, as a person of color, I was enamored. Oh my God, there's a person of color out there doing mycology things. This person looks like me. Oh my God, right? So I, of course, just blew through all of the videos, and one of them he mentioned MycoFest, so I literally Googled it, bought a ticket, and then I just went by myself. Like I wanted to know, I wanted to experience this, I wanted to have this learning, and I pull up, and then it turns into what it turned into, and it was even better. So I will be there next year.
Good. Maui is one of the people I gave one of my pendants to. I was supposed to meet up with a friend this year, and for several reasons, the universe just wouldn't let it happen. And I was really bummed out. And I already had the van packed. I had a tent packed for my friend. I had comforters, fatigue mats to put down. We were all set. And then it was flight delay after flight delay after flight delay, and she just wasn't going to make it. And finally, at the very last minute before she got on the plane, she didn't make it. And I had that pendant packed away. And one morning I'm sitting in my U-Haul, and I'm looking at this pendant, and I had already met Maui, and here's this man he's busting his ass, making this whole thing happen and going a whole bunch of different directions. He's one of the few people, well, not one of the few, he's one of the, excuse me, one of the many people that didn't sit down very much. Yeah. And I recognize that. And I'm sitting there looking at this pendant, and I'm debating, do I hold on to this for the person I brought it for? Or do I give it to this big, beautiful man who's just here busting his ass and helping making the whole thing happen? And as I'm thinking about it, I got a response to a text message that I had sent to my friend who I was originally supposed to meet. And it started off in parentheses with the word loved, because she was responding back to that message. But at the same time, it felt like the universe was telling me, yeah, give that thing to Maui. That's why you brought it here. That's why it was packed away. So Maui,
I'm telling you, I haven't taken it off since. This is awesome. That
was the nicest one out of them all. I had made that for somebody that was really special to me. And now it's with somebody else who's very special to me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you were there for sure. Yeah. Mr. Jeff is the rock star mushroom hunter. So he got the pendant with the morels on it. He's another one.
Hey, before I go, I do want to say to you, because you brought up the pendant, Maui, that he blessed me with one. I didn't know this was happening, and I didn't know what was going on. I have no idea if he knew that this was my first year finding morels this spring. So I'm thinking of this as a commemoration of this was the year that I found morels. So whether or not this is a morel pendant he made, we met online first through fungi flows, and I think his marathons.
Yep.
I believe that's how we first got in touch, is rooting for another guy. And then through conversation, we're talking in the chats. I think you were definitely following my videos more than I was following yours. But
I follow a lot of people that don't follow me. That it's all good.
Well, I definitely appreciate you, and I do want to be on your channel more, because I see how you are. You're a person who has that kindred spirit as me, who not only loves what they do, but likes to bless people. That's to me, that's who I look for in friends, is people who are just, they've got it in them that they know that life is more than themselves.
I can only give
and if they can,
you
So for that, I want to say thank you. MycoFest was even more so special because what we had going on personally. We go check out Shroom Day's video of him and I late night at the laundromat. We were having almost like this Harold and Kumar kind of evening, it felt like. But we got to hit the mean streets of State College at, I don't know, 2 a.m. or something. So that was.
Yeah, we were supposed to start off around midnight. It didn't start until probably 1:30, 2 o'clock. And we didn't get back to the event grounds until almost 4 a.m.
Right.
I was dragging ass that next day. I was on 2.5 hours sleep.
You were still a champ. I'm talking like a beast, because you still brought it. You still took care of business, plus some, the whole time you were there. And you were taking care of me. My truck broke down. Like, he was on top of it every time I needed help. This guy is a gentleman who takes care of the people he's around. That's what he's about. I'm not trying to plug you, but that's what you're about, and I see that. So I appreciate you. Hey, I'm gonna bow out, but I thank you guys for jumping on the stream with me. Let me get to blab with you guys, and look forward to seeing you guys at any future events like MycoFest 2025. Peace.
Definitely.
Can't
Oh,
wait.
Yes,
yeah.
Peace,
sir.
Mr.
Until
Jeff.
next time, brother.
Later.
All right. So
I didn't know you did that. You were like on 10, like you
I did,
hadn't done that.
Maui, I didn't sit down damn near the entire time I was there.
Damn, that's wild.
Crazy.
I had a great time though. You know, like I said, it's a community, and I'm honored to be a part of it. So if there's anything I could do for anybody, you know,
That's
like
the energy.
last year, I want to share this with you. Last year, I was supposed to meet up with the same friend that I was going to meet up with this year. I had actually met her there 3 years ago. This is my third year. And I met her there the first year there. Now, her and I had met through the psychedelic community, which is who taught me how to cultivate mushrooms. And last year, she wasn't able to make it at the very last minute, and she was actually supposed to be the person who was the volunteer coordinator. She had gotten together with Priyanka and Will, and they decided we're going to make this person the volunteer coordinator. But due to family health issues, she wasn't able to make it. So at the last minute, our friend calls me and says, I'm not going to be able to make it. I'm going to give you Priyanka's phone number, and I'm going to give you Will's phone number. And I want you to call them and let them know you're going to come and fill my shoes. And I'm like, are you seriously? I don't know how to do that. I'm not prepared for that. Come on now. Don't do that. Come. And I never had the balls to use Will's phone number, but I called Priyanka. And Priyanka wasn't really thrilled to hear from me. Only because she didn't know what was going on. All she knew at that moment is the volunteer coordinator they had gotten wasn't coming at the last minute. And now she's hearing from a stranger, and she wasn't really thrilled about it. And she told me, well, we don't need you. I'm like, I'm sitting in my U-Haul van in my driveway, and I had everything packed up, and she must have heard it in my voice. And she's like, well, do you have any money spent on this trip? I said, well, as a matter of fact, I have a little over 400 into the U-Haul. I got a cooler packed. And she says, well, we have no place to put you, and we have no food. I'm like, I wasn't expecting it to begin with. I'm just coming to help. And she said, fine, you can come. And when I got there, I went up to her, I found her and introduced myself. And she's like, just go have a good time. We don't really need you. I'm like, man, this isn't fun. I'm not enjoying this. And I'm walking around, and I see her later, and I was like, do you need anything? My hands and feet are here for you. You know, what can I do? And she's like, no, we're good. And I kept asking her, what can I do? What can I do? And finally she's like, you can go over here and ask them if they need relief, you know, and just kind of walk around and ask people if they need help with anything at the different stations. So I did that for a while. And later on that evening, they had the VIP dinner for the sponsors, and all of the kitchen staff bailed. Priyanka was in that kitchen by herself with just dishes upon dishes. It looked like a bomb had exploded, and she was not well. And I went in there, and I was like, can I help? I'm here to help. And finally I told her, I was like, you know what? I got this. Leave, go, do something. You don't need to be standing in here crying. Just go. I got it. And she asked me, she's like, are you sure? I said, just get out of here. Go relax and have a good time. You've been working this whole time. You need to calm down. So she took off, and I'm standing in the kitchen going, what did I just do? Oh shit. I'm going to be here until 3 o'clock in the morning cleaning this up. So I walked out. I went and found 2 volunteers, and those 2 volunteers helped me clean the kitchen. We had it banged out probably a little over an hour. And it worked out in the long run. And Priyanka was super appreciative. And when I saw the email go out for the volunteers, I used her phone number again for the second time ever. And I got a train going by my house. Sorry. So I sent her a text saying, I don't know if you remember me or not. But I showed up and helped out last year, and she responded back, you were my savior last year. We're doing it different. We're setting up different teams. Which one would you like to be the lead for? And it's just put me where the most people bailed last year. Meanwhile, I'm thinking she's going to put me in the kitchen. And she said, how about the green team? And I said, perfect. That's perfect. What's the green team? And she said sanitation, garbage, stock rolls of toilet papers if needed, and just kind of walk around and pick up any trash that's on the ground. Sounds great to me. I don't have to sit down anywhere. I'm not stuck in one spot. That's really like perfect for me. So yeah, that's how I ended up getting my in with the group and helping make it happen.
Man, that's beautiful. My experience with like getting to MycoFest, this is 3 years in the making for me. I actually wanted to come to MycoFest my first year at Telluride too, but Telluride is like so expensive. It's like $450 for the 5 days.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, and it's packed. It's packed with a lot of stuff. But I was like, I can't make it out. Like it's too expensive, and I would have to buy a flight too.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, I wanted to come too. Friend had a wedding that weekend. Had to miss it again. This year, I was just like, I think I can make it happen. And then I saw the volunteer, that there was a need for volunteers still. So I was like, let me just see if I can volunteer. And then, like, by the grace of the universe, I was able to be there this year and meet all you guys. And man, if I was there 3 years ago, I would have met you for the first time Shroom Day. But I'm glad it was finally my time to be there. Everything was divine and worked perfectly. Like, man.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yes, sir, it does.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. You're a rock, man. That same energy that you put out in your first one and your second one is the same energy you had for the third one. Like, I remember you saying that same thing when we were at the festival, when we were doing our volunteer orientation. You said, put me where people usually, bail out on. And
Yep.
Same thing, man. I applaud you for your genuine drive to help people.
Thank you, man. I thank you for that. Maui, you're quiet.
I'm just like here and listening, and I'm just, I don't know, vibing, because everything I feel like is already being said to an extent, because that's how I like.
Mm-hmm.
When I pulled up and you were like, let's do this, I was like, damn, we got a real one. You know what I mean? Like, okay, let's do this. So
I got to be honest with you. After I set the whole thing up, I was thinking to myself, what the hell am I doing? I'm not a host. I'm not a broadcaster. I'm just a schmuck on YouTube who likes to play with metal and collect shiny things. And I'm off on my own journey with the whole Shroom Day thing. You know what I mean? Like, that's got nothing to do with the majority of what I do on my channel. I like to spread the little bit of knowledge that I can, as far as mental health goes. And how I'll jump into it. I think that's, correct me if I'm wrong, for anybody, that's what brought us all to the mushrooms, is for our own mental health. I talked to Jaden, I spoke with Jaden for a while, and his situation, what brought him to the mushrooms is very similar to mine. Thank you, Mr. Chubby Hubby. I just happened to look over and see your comment. I appreciate you, man. Mr. Chubby Hubby has become like one of you guys. I've been friends with him for a while now, and I know I'm gonna know you guys for a long time. Mr. Chubby Hubby has been a great friend. I met him in the coin community also, and we talk on the side. We play a lot of online poker lately, and just have a good time. But Jaden, did we ask you what exactly brought you to the mushrooms? How you found them? Did we cover that?
Oh, you're talking to me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Or
No,
Caden.
we didn't
I'm
actually.
sorry. I
Yeah,
was sitting
yeah,
here
no,
saying
no.
Jaden. You should have
Yeah,
corrected me, Caden.
no,
I
it's fine.
apologize, man.
No, I didn't want to be confrontational,
No.
because I forget your name too. I have to check it sometimes before I talk to you on your contact. I've met so many people at MycoFest. You know how it goes. I'm bad with names.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So what brought me to mushrooms, like I said, when I was, I don't know, from the ages of like 12 to 15, I was chronically depressed. But before that, the very first mushroom experience I had, and I think we all have this moment, right, in our mushroom journey where we have our mushroom experience. That just not even necessarily your first psychedelic experience, but your first time connecting with mushrooms in some kind of way beyond just knowing they exist. And I was fishing. I used to do a lot of fishing when I was younger. I was just like living in the woods from the ages of like 7 to 11. And sometime around the age 11, 12, I found these red mushrooms with white dots on them. And I'm sure anybody watching, all you guys know what it is. It's an Amanita muscaria. And I didn't know at the time. And I was like, wow, look at these beautiful mushrooms. And I didn't even have a phone at the time, so I couldn't even take a picture of it. And I didn't harvest them because I was taught, like everybody is taught typically, that you shouldn't touch mushrooms and this and that, when in reality, even the most deadly mushrooms on earth, you can even taste them, and as long as you don't swallow them, you're fine. But I didn't know that. So I went home and I was scrolling on YouTube like a week later, and I saw a video that says the legal psychedelic, and it was Amanita muscaria. So I watched the video and I go back like frantically looking for these mushrooms. I didn't even know what a psychedelic was before watching that video. And it was so interesting to me, and it had sparked such a passion, or I don't know what to describe it as, just so interesting to me beyond what, like, hearing about other drugs. I was never interested, but I heard about psychedelics specifically, and I was like, wow. And they weren't growing there. And that started this deep dive for me. We're on YouTube. It started recommending more videos. I'm sure you guys know Tales from the Trip. I'm sure you guys know Terrence McKenna, his talks. I start listening to those. I start watching Tales from the Trip, and my interest in this is just growing stronger and stronger. And that's what really brought me to the mushrooms, where I had looked for them for years during my point of depression from the age of 12 to 15, never found them at all, because they come to you, when it's appropriate. And then around the age 15, 15 and a half, I finally just had some dude at my job walk up to me. I didn't know the guy. I never talked to the guy. And he just says, you want an ounce of mushrooms? And then, a couple weeks later, I had my 23-gram experience, which cured my depression permanently. And that's how I came to, know the love of mushrooms. And as you said earlier, myceliate my soul,
Yeah.
in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
23. Wow. Talk about, wow.
Talk about a heroic dose right there.
Right?
That's crazy.
Heroic. I'm over here being like, oh yeah, heroic dose, 5 grams. Whoa.
Yeah. And I was 115 pounds at the time. I had lost over 60 pounds due to my depression. And so being 115 pound at 5'10", that's like skin and bones. There's nothing substance to your body. And I didn't eat anything for 2 days leading up to that, or because if you eat something within 6 to 24 hours of a dose like that, especially being that size human, you'll throw up. So that was my goal. And I didn't throw up because I didn't eat anything for like 48 hours.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That purge will come at you somehow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, one thing I've shared with a lot of people at MycoFest, and I did so comfortably because I knew most of them understand where I'm coming from, and they may be able to share, and relate to it. Ultimately, how I became Shroom Day 0117. It's my own little personal holiday, I suppose. I fell into a really deep depression after my stepdad had passed away. We had watched him suffer from cancer for several years, and his health just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I was watching my mom get depressed, and she started taking medications, prescribed from the doctors, and her depression got worse. And watching this all unfold in front of me started having an effect. And when my stepdad passed away, my mom really lost her shit. Now, I've always been a mama's boy. Ever since I was a little kid, I'm the youngest of four. I'm the only one that stuck around close to home. And I'm the only one that continued to visit. And so watching her struggle just made it even worse. And, it was months and months had gone by after he had passed. A buddy's girlfriend had came up to me and just out of the blue, I know where you can get some magic mushrooms. I'm like, okay. You want to buy some mushrooms? I'm like thinking to myself, I've heard they're good with depression. Yeah, can you get me 8 grams? And she said, sure. And ultimately she was just trying to make a couple bucks. She had no respect for what it was. Ultimately, I had no idea that they needed to be respected at that point. I didn't know anything about them. I just heard through the grapevine that they can help with depression. So I called up a buddy and I told him, you're coming over here. It's somebody that I'd known since I was 8 years old. He had experience with psychedelics. I had none. While all of my other friends were tripping on acid and mushrooms, I stayed away from that scene. Like I was still in this around them, but I chose not to partake. I came from a family where my parents liked to party, but my mom was also educational, and she fed me some propaganda at the same time. So I just never did any major heavy drugs or mind altering substances besides smoking pot. But so my buddy came over and he took 2 grams and I ate the other 6. And we sat down and played Contra on Nintendo and beat the game in like 20 minutes. He eventually got bored and left because he wasn't feeling anything and I wasn't feeling anything. Not a damn thing. Went to sleep a little while later, and it's like, wow, that kind of sucked. I was hoping for more, but okay. And at that point, I would cry on my way home every night. Like every night coming home from work, the tears would just start rolling, and it would hit me from nowhere. I wouldn't be thinking about anything specific, but I would just start fucking crying. I was sad all of the time, and I noticed the night on my way home after, well, I didn't notice right away, but the night after I didn't cry. And then the next night I didn't cry. And it was 3 nights later when I had realized I hadn't cried for the last 2 days, where I had cried every night for 8 months prior, every single night on my way home, like a baby. Couldn't see shit through my windshield. And, that's when I realized that these things really, they did something, which I didn't think was possible. They made me feel normal again. They didn't make me numb. They didn't make me happy. They didn't make me anything. They made me feel normal. I think that first experience that I had eating 6 grams and no effect was a little bit of a fluke. I think most people would feel it. So I got some more and I noticed it. The only thing it really, I noticed was people's faces would lose definition. And one day, the person that I got them from, their person got busted. So no more mushrooms. And I was thinking to myself, oh shit, what am I going to do now? This is going to wear off eventually. And I started worrying, and I started looking on YouTube, scared, thinking somebody's watching my browser feed, and like I'm watching YouTube, and I found this guy called he goes by Myco Madness. Home Mycology is the name of his channel. Crazy dude, but super smart. And then one day he happened to mention, if you want to see the results of my grow, I can't show them here. Come over to this website where I'm a part of a psychedelic community, and you can see what I'm doing. So I signed into the website, and it's like Facebook for psychedelics. And that's where I saw people's grows, and a lot of people were growing gourmet mushrooms too. And they were talking about their experiences, and that's where I was able to meet up with like-minded people and share and listen to them and get advice. It took me, I wasn't as lucky as Rahima, which is why I asked her how long it took her to have success. It took me 8 months to grow my first flush, to grow any mushrooms and begin to help myself again. And that's really where my journey started. And the first time I had ever taken mushrooms was January 17th, 2020, which is where the 0117 comes from. It's my own shroom day. It's my own personal holiday. It's the day I took control of my mental health and got a grip on it and was able to start living life again and begin my journey healing myself.
I really connect with what you said there about that's a beautiful story on to say. First off, I really can appreciate a story like that. You know what I mean? It really speaks a lot to our humanity. You know what I mean? A story like that.
Yeah.
But what you were saying about with difficulty growing, I think it really depends on your intention going into it. I tried to grow for about 2 years before I had that epiphany where I learned how to grow, which was actually a year after my 23-gram trip and a year after my depression was gone that I finally learned how to grow. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that was every time that I tried to grow before that, which was many times, I'm talking over 10, maybe 20 times, I tried to grow and horribly failed each time. Yeah. And that's because I never had the correct mindset for it. I never had that kind of giving. I was kind of viewing it more like, I don't know, like growing some sort of other drug. And then like, imagine if you were growing like cocaine in your backyard. And like, that's how I was viewing it. I wasn't viewing it as like, I'm going to grow this and share it with people and use it for the correct reasons. You know what I mean? And once I finally watched Pop Shrooms, I don't know if you guys are familiar, the Detroit Mush Lab, Pop Shrooms, I watched his videos and he talked about that on one of his clips. It was beautiful listening to him talk. And I immediately grew after that. My mindset changed. I knew why I wanted to grow, and I just immediately they grew for me. I didn't have to put in any extra effort from what I did before. I just followed the path, and it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I love that. Before I go into my story, I want to say, Shroom Day, I love your story. That is so empowering. Want to start there first. Also, just want to say my phone is at like 10%. Okay. So I'm going to go through a crash course of my experience real quick, and then like I'll listen for the rest of the time that I have before it dies.
All right. Thank you for being here, man. I really do appreciate you. Seriously. It means a lot.
So like I said, I kind of went through my own little experience with like getting my name, J Manifest. I kind of had a similar experience. Super depressed, man. Super just like a victim of my own choices, a victim of my own reality, just kind of was in a space where, man, didn't know what the fuck was going on. So I graduated college 2019. And then I came back home and was like in a place where I was like, bro, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I just got this degree. Like, what am I supposed to be doing? Felt like I wasn't in the right place. Then I got this blessing called COVID. COVID hit. And COVID allowed me to just sit there and reflect and be. And I literally spent 8+ hours every day scrolling through YouTube, trying to figure out how to grow shrooms. And like I experimented with shrooms in not the best context in college. I started using them more intentionally, more properly as I got older, as years passed. But then I just allowed myself to do a crash course. Um, my YouTube teachers were Willie Myco, Philly Golden Teacher, Arvin 47. Those were like my YouTube teachers. They don't know, but they put me on. Uh, um, but like Rahima, my first grows were successful. My intention was like, I want to be able to heal myself. I got this medicine from other people, and I didn't know what energy they put into it before I was getting it, which could have played a big part in what my experiences were with the medicine. Um, so my intention was I want to provide myself with the medicine now. And then like I was so successful that like I had so much that I didn't know what to do with. So then I changed it to like I started feeling like I was a shaman in my past life. So if you got the mushroom shaman sticker from me at MycoFest, that is where that comes from. Is my rebirth almost. That's what that sticker symbolizes. And then I really honed into that feeling like a shaman and just wanted to provide medicine for the people that were close to me so that they could trust where they were getting it from.
Yep.
And that led me to Telluride, which led me to discovering a rare mushroom out here that's never been discovered in Colorado or in the United States in this region, and got it sequenced in the Denver Mycological Society at the what is it called uh, it's there's a herbarium here. It's I forget what it's called at the moment. But yeah, I honed into that shaman feeling that I was feeling, listening to the ancestors, and now I'm here, man, and I'm just
Now,
blessed to be on this journey and to be able to enjoy the mushrooms and enjoy this community that the
now
mushrooms has brought me into.
Jay is taking it to a whole nother level. You touched on something there with the sequencing. Jay is actually picking up DNA sequencing of mushrooms and plants. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't that help everybody identify new species of mushrooms found? And you can actually know exactly what they are by the DNA structure that you are able to catalog and look at.
Yeah, so DNA sequencing is a big part of how we know what mushrooms will be beneficial for us medically, edible in nature as well. We'll be able to know if they're edible by the DNA sequence. We'll be able to know, some of the compounds inside of them by the DNA sequence. But it does help us identify new species and document where those species are being grown. DNA sequencing could do a lot when it comes to plants and fungi, knowing what they are, knowing how to use them.
That's, to me, mind boggling. To know that, you or I, well, not I, because I don't have the knowledge. That's beyond me right at the moment in time. But people can actually look at the DNA of fungus, and I'm finding out now that it can actually be used to know if it can be used for medicine or not. That's incredible. Instead of poisoning ourselves with these fungi, you know, we can figure it out before we put it in our bodies. Thanks to Jay and people like William Padilla-Brown. Thank God there's people like you on this planet that are smart enough to figure this stuff out.
I would like to do another one of these with Jay here at a different point where you show us some of the mushroom DNA sequencing technology, if you could.
Man, I would love to. I'm doing a class with Alan Rockefeller and Amy Honan next week at Telluride Mushroom Festival, where Alan will teach us how to do some mushroom sequence photography, where you pretty much take a photo and layer photos on top of each other to get more clear photos. And then Amy will we'll go from the field, harvest our mushrooms, take pictures of our mushrooms, bring them back to the lab, DNA sequence them, and then a part of the class is also being able to sequence some of the things that you find. So next week I should have a lot more to share about that. I'm still a beginner, I'm still learning, but
That's awesome.
man,
Oh yeah.
I just appreciate that the mushrooms allowed me to be a vessel. Like at MycoFest, I felt like I was able to just like be, and things would come out of my mouth that universe just told me to say. And again, it just ties back to that shaman feeling that I had 4 years ago. And I really feel like just a vessel. Like I'm just doing what the universe tells me to, you know.
There's
Everybody
something
can be a shaman, man.
I feel that so hard. Like so hard.
Man, Maui, the conversations that we had, man, like over the fire were crazy.
Yeah.
Like, man, it was so beautiful. I can't, man, me and you know.
Oh, I know. Listen, and that's the cool thing too. It's like I know. And when you go there, when you go to MycoFest and you've had all of these things that you've experienced that you bring to the table to this place, you're talking with people who know exactly what you're talking about. Like you might not be able to like
we lost them.
we lost them. I might
We
not
lost the
have
boy.
taken 20 some grams, but I know ego death, and you know what I mean, and I know how to say it in a way that you know what I'm talking about, but we can't say it to where people who haven't experienced it know what we're talking. I don't know. It's just like MycoFest is a place where you go and you talk about something, and someone is always like, "Yeah, I know what
Yes.
you mean," you know.
Instead of getting laughed at, or somebody looking at you like you got three heads on your shoulders.
Absolutely.
You know how
That's
you
it.
were talking about that that what was it called? The online like Facebook type thing for growing.
Yep.
You know Mad Hatter Labs?
I haven't heard of that one.
He's really big on like DMT World and stuff, I believe. He's really active on groups like that.
That's the site I was referring to.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's that exact site that he's on, but I talked to him a lot at the festival. He's like super active in like the underground group chat community, like on Facebook and these really like niche groups and stuff. But like he
Okay.
doesn't have a large following on YouTube or anything. But I talked to him, and me and him are going out to lunch sometime in the next week, and me and PGT, and I'm talking to those guys, and I really have those type of experiences where I'm talking about things that I've experienced on like those huge trips, or even the smaller ones, just these transcendent feelings that can't be put into words, and they just know. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Now, for anybody who doesn't know what DMT World is, dmtworld.net. That's the community that helped me along my journey and find my way, and help me know what the mushrooms have been teaching me. I haven't been completely alone, but if it wasn't for the people in DMT World, I would have been so lost. And ultimately that's where I met my friend who I was meeting up with at MycoFest the first year, and we're going to meet again next year. We're going to figure it out beforehand, but and also so anyway, dmtworld.net, shout out to them if anybody's interested in learning how to cultivate. Jay's back. All right, welcome back, man.
Yes,
We were
sir.
sad to lose you.
So
I was able to go back into my job and charge my phone a little bit because it was not a good spot to end. So I'm back.
No, man.
All right.
As a matter of fact, if there's where can we find you? So
You can find me on Instagram at J_manifest. You can find me on YouTube at J_manifest ADV. That's where I post all my adventures on YouTube. I'm trying to get that started.
What I'm going to do when we're done here, I would like to ask you to shoot me a message through our chat here with the links so I can share them out. I'll pin them right in the comments at the end of the stream.
I got you.
And same for everybody who wants to share their information. I will absolutely pin it in a comment or in the description of the stream so anybody can follow you guys. But dmtworld.net, if you want to learn how to cultivate, whether it's for your own mental health, or gourmet mushrooms or medicinal mushrooms, it's a great place to do it. Also, Aiden mentioned PGT. He's a Philly Golden Teacher on YouTube.
Yeah.
He's a great teacher. Go back to the beginning.
He's
Click
the
on his
best.
channel, go to his videos, and click oldest first. Start right from the beginning. He'll show you the easiest techniques to grow your own mushrooms.
He really will. It's an incredible connection to have. You know what I mean? Like, he's coming over for lunch tomorrow for me to be able to like talk to PGT. Like, he was one of my fucking, as I was trying to learn how to grow it when I was 12, 11, 13, 14, 15, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, when I was younger, learn how to grow, watching his videos, and then finally meeting him. And then his best friend sold me my lab, just last month.
Wow.
And then I camped with PGT and some other guys at MycoFest. We all camped together, and it's really transcendent. It's amazing to have those type of connections.
I heard he was there. No, that's cool. I think
Hey,
I
that's
made-
fire, bro. Let him know he put me on to some stuff.
Hey, if you say something right now, I'll show him the clip of the video. If you got anything you want to say to him, I'll show him tomorrow.
Hey, Philly, I appreciate everything you put out on YouTube, man. You have definitely helped me hone into my cultivation processes for sure. I appreciate it. You don't know, but now you know. Yeah.
I'll show him. I won't forget.
Yeah, I'm still subscribed. I've been a subscriber to Philly Golden Teacher since I think the beginning, when it started for me about 4 years ago.
Yeah, 2020, 2019, right? Was around the beginning.
Yep.
And I also used to teach how to cultivate to people in my little small community. So if anybody like wants one-on-one help with that, let me know. I have like a library of genetics that I have too much of that I've held on to since 2020. I've got like 11 different varieties that I would love to get in the hands of other people. A lot of the strains I've grown out for like 7 generations.
Wow.
So like, yeah.
It's incredible, dude.
Yeah. Maui,
Yo.
how did you get into mushrooms?
Well, I make it seem cool. It was not cool. So I started out cultivating, wanting to cultivate cannabis, and then I did that. I moved in. I bought a home because I didn't want to like do that in an apartment, right? So I bought a home, did the thing, and I gotta be honest, like I don't no hate on the cannabis because it's great. I got a little bored,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, going through some things, and you stumble across psychedelics and depression like everybody else does, right? And I was kind of like, I don't know if I can do that to like that depth, and so I'm gonna try quitting smoking cigarettes. I wanted to quit nicotine, and it was something that I was really like ready to be done with, but could not get my brain to like follow, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I'm a big dude. Like I weigh like close to 300 pounds. So like 1 gram wasn't cutting it. And so that's how I like accidentally got into a heroic dose. So I kept trying different amounts, higher amounts, but like I would try like 2 grams a trip, and then and nothing really happened, and then I would wait like 2-3 days later, do more. Well, it got to where I hadn't been feeling anything, so at like 4.5 grams, so I was like, I'm gonna do 5.5 grams. Let's just
Go
I
all
feel
the
like
way.
that's a threshold we can break. Let's go. And threshold broke, bro. Like you thought. And the whole time, like I had my wife trip sitting me, and the whole time I had been like hard body ego death, like really confused, and like I kept saying I don't want Gloria to be mad, and this comes back later, but I kept being like really like mourning that. I didn't want her to be mad at me. And so I, come out of it, and my wife was like, I was kind of freaked out for a while. I got to be honest, and I was like, yeah, so was I, but we're good now.
My girlfriend had that same experience. I scared her.
Yeah, she was like, I didn't know what to do, and I was like, but you did exactly what you needed to do. Like, she made it all comfortable, so on and so forth, right? So I come out of it, and I realized, like, first couple of hours, normally I would want a cigarette. Like, this is I am way past due, time for a cigarette, and it just kept going, and I kept not wanting one. And then I was like, damn, like I'm cured. This is cool. But I kept sitting with some of that uncomfortable feeling, like I hadn't figured it out. I hadn't untied the knot. And I had realized after like a year later, I thought that I was going to make my friend Gloria mad by doing psychedelic mushrooms. What actually is that her and I would go out during work and smoke and talk together and hang out. And like, that was our time that we had together while we were smoking to like download and upload, right, with each other. And I was so worried that we weren't going to have that time to be friendly and so on and have that connection because I had quit smoking. And I told her, and her immediate reaction was like, I'm so proud of you. And I was sitting here thinking that she was going to be sad that we weren't going to have, that time together. But she was happy that I was doing good things for me and that we would make it work, So it was that kind of delayed understanding of me and my humanly stuff that was like, whoa, all this happened with a mushroom we're cultivating. We're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to be honest, like Rahima, it was relatively easy for me to do. And I promise you, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I started out with my own, like making my own spore syringe.
Yeah.
Like I was like, what's the hardest thing I could do to start from, point A to point Z? Let's do that. And it happened. It worked. And it was cool.
See, I started off trying BRF and it wasn't working for me. And I started, in the end, it was spore syringe to agar to grain. And I went through the whole thing. I had a horrible time trying to get started. It took me 6 months to grow my first set of pins. And for anybody who doesn't know, there's a variety of steps to get through to get to where your cake is starting to throw out pins, little tiny baby mushrooms. You got your spores to agar, and then you got your agar to grain, and then you got your grain to substrate, and then you got to colonize your substrate, and then you introduce it to fruiting conditions. And I had introduced my cakes to fruiting conditions, and the morning I woke up and I had pins, and I was so excited. Those totes were sitting on my dresser in the room I get changed in. My girlfriend didn't know any better. She emptied the vacuum cleaner bag, or the vacuum cleaner, into the garbage that was in my room. And I got home from work that day and I had green mold on my cakes. I lost my shit.
I was just about to say, did you lose it?
I lost it, dude. I'm trying to fix myself. I'm trying to cure myself. And this poor girl just wrecked my shit, having no idea what she was doing. And I emptied out the spare bedroom and ended up making that my laboratory. And I had nothing in there except for a table and this little shelving unit that I had completely lined with black contractor bags. And that was the only thing in there other than, my jars and my totes. So, and I went through one heck of a routine, making sure my space was clean to the point where I would go in and I would mop the floor. Well, first I would wipe down, then I would mop the floor. Then I would go take my shower, not towel dry or anything. I would just put a pair of boxers on and slippers. Oh, we lost Maui. Maui, come back. But so yeah, I would basically go into my room while soaking wet without towel drying, no lint. Didn't want any chances of anything. And then I would start my work from there. Then I would go into the room and wipe down one more time just to make sure everything was ready to go. I didn't have any laminar flow hood. I was working in the open air. And honestly, I had more success working in open air than I've had, in that room, than I've ever had with my flow hood. I built my own flow hood. I followed Willie Myco, his video and the links that he gave to go out and buy a filter and the proper motor. And I built the one that he showed. And I think my success rate had gone from probably 80 or 90%, which was fantastic when I was really into it, to about 50% with the flow hood. And I don't quite understand why. Maybe I had just got complacent and maybe a little lazy. I'm not sure. But it's been a journey. So after my first tote went to Contam, I was back another 2 months later, back at it, and had success, and I was okay. Those are the mushrooms. The first set of mushrooms that I took from the friend, and their friend got busted. My mushrooms, they were different. They're the ones that really showed me what was up. I cultivated my own hell for a while. I cultivated my own bliss once, and they're teachers.
Definitely.
Sure.
I was just thinking I would like to hear Jay's first experience with growing, because we've kind of went around in a circle now, and then I might share a little bit more of mine after that. But I'm really curious.
You're
We
muted.
can't hear you. Yeah, you're muted or something. I can't hear you.
No.
Not a single peep.
Uh-oh.
Maybe you'll have to rejoin, like close the tab out and rejoin. Well, we'll get him back in a second here.
He'll come right back.
It's a shame that we lost, what was his name?
Maui.
Yeah, Maui. We lost him. He's gone.
I wonder if, let's see here. I got to add you back, Jay.
All right, what about now?
There we
Good.
go. We got you.
All right, man. Okay, so I was super blessed, dude. I was super blessed. That's how I know I'm like supposed to be doing this, because like I started out with Golden Teachers. They were my first strain, had been given to me by a friend who had cultivated them about 3 generations. So by the time I'm getting mine, it's 4th generation. I started out with some pre-made grow bags and a spore syringe that was given to me by my homie. But I didn't get contamination until like 4 months. It took me 4 months to get my first actual contamination.
Okay.
So super blessed. And I am just now actually getting stuff to get a lab. Like I just got the North Spore pop-up flow hood, the pop-up,
Yep.
All I did to start was just cleaning my bathroom. It's easy cleaning surfaces to use. So I would just disinfect my bathroom all the way down, wipe it down. Like I always started my grow when it was like a time for me to clean my bathroom anyway.
It's a good place to grow, and a lot of people grow in their bathroom.
That's actually where I just did the inoculation. My actual bins just lived in my living room, my living space. So like your experience where you had it in.
Oh, did we just lose Jay, or am I freezing up?
I lost him too. Yeah, I can't hear it.
Maui's computer died.
Oh, well.
Can
You're
you hear
back
me?
now. We lost you for a second there. Yeah, you said your first experience.
Hold up.
Yo, Maui.
I made it back.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
My shit
Your,
died.
your computer didn't like really die, did it?
Oh no, it just the battery died.
Oh, okay, good.
Be Gucci.
All right. Now, I'm sorry. What were you saying, Jay? Oh no. Now we lost.
Well,
Well, I guess I suppose while Jay's working through his technical difficulties, I'll go with my first experience growing. So I actually grew one of the more difficult methods of growing. All right, is he?
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
All
we
right,
can hear you.
good.
Yep.
Okay, man. Okay, so sorry about that. So I actually just started by being in my living room. Like all my grow was in my living room. Like your experience with getting contam just by having it in your like living space, never had that for the first 4 months. I had just a lot of bins going in my living room, and they all were just thriving. I think I had a lot of success because I would sing and like pray around my mushrooms when I was first starting them. So just trying to give them whatever good energy I could possibly give them. And I think that plays a big part in why I had a good success rate. But I never used the most pristine processes like a lot of people did. I think I just like not got lucky, but I don't know. I didn't have bad luck at the beginning.
You just loved them, man. You just loved the mushrooms. You fed it back to him. You know what I mean?
hell yeah. And sometimes having like, I know to an extent, like you need to have stuff like sterile, but also just like thinking in the wild, like they gotta fight for the right to party. You know?
It's a great way to put it.
You know, I met somebody last year. At one point, I actually got to jump in the van with Will and go get water in a big tote at a local spring. And there was one man talking about how he doesn't pasteurize his substrate. And there was another dude that was there talking about how he reuses his substrate. Two things I don't understand how they're doing it. Now, not pasteurizing, well, nature, their stuff's not being pasteurized. I can almost understand how that would work.
I wonder if it's about success rate, because I think you could do it. I just wonder how, like, you can't like plan how much you're gonna yield, and then furthermore how many flushes you get. Because if you're using substrate, how solid is, like I can get a few flushes out of it, but it like breaks down like. Hard,
Well,
you know what I mean?
what winds up happening is the mycelium winds up using up a lot of the nutrients, and that lowers its ability to fight off contamination. And normally contamination happens either when it's not colonized grain and then the contamination can take hold before the mycelium gets to it, or after it's weak. Typically healthy mycelium with no exposed grain won't get contamination. So I've actually reused substrate upwards of 4 times. But here's the trick. What you have to do is you have to add more grain to the substrate and more water to it before the mycelium weakens. So after your second flush or so, you add another colonized grain bag into there to add more nutrients so the mycelium is strong, and you add a little more water until it's field capacity, smooth it out, let it break it up completely, smooth it out, let it recolonize, and you can just continue to do that again and again and again. And as long as you're adding the nutrients that it needs, you can just do that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's if there. I gotta be real. Like if there was a nugget today, it was that.
Think about how much we've spent on substrate. You know,
Literally.
cocoa core isn't getting any cheaper. That's for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of people say that contamination happens when the substrate becomes more acidic, but really it's the weakening of the mycelium due to lack of nutrients in the end.
Yeah, or high nutrients. You know, the more nutrients you have, it's going to contaminate out easier.
If it's not colonized, once it's colonized, that only helps.
Yeah.
Right. Wow.
Yep.
I'm glad that I just got that little like. My mind's a little blown too.
Yeah, man. It was just an experiment, you know?
Right. Oh my god. And like more often than not, that's what it all becomes. It's just like if this bin yields and has anything, like I am fruitful, I am happy, I am cool, but like everything else is like let's see what this is gonna do. Like if I turn the bin 180 degrees, like everything is just kind of let's fuck around and find out.
What do you think it means to be a mycologist, you know?
That's actually how I got to meet my friend on DMT World, how we became close. What we didn't realize at the time was both of us were trying a couple of different experiments with the mycelium. We were both trying to fruit a mushroom off of water. I've never heard of it being done before. And I had this big mat of mycelium sitting in a liquid culture. And I'm wondering, how am I going to get this to fruit? I got a lot of mycelium. It's just covering the surface. So I'm sprinkling cocoa coir on it, cracking the lid, trying to make something happen. She put a stick with a leaf in her liquid culture, and she actually got a mushroom to fruit off of the stick. She cheated. I never succeeded. I don't remember exactly what happened to that liquid culture, but I never got it to fruit anything. But I would imagine it could have happened. It's just not very economical, but it was cool to try. I loved playing with the mycelium and seeing, what it was willing to take on for nutrients, what it was willing to grow off of for substrate.
One really magical thing about mycelium and psilocybe cubensis specifically is how quickly it can adapt, right? So you can go from one generation to the next and have it grow completely 100% perfect in the same conditions that only one mushroom grew in the previous generation. So if you were willing to do some agar work, and sometimes, when you got an old plate of agar and it puts a bunch of pins out, if you do that a couple times until it's like really pin and heavy with no airflow, with no excess moisture, and then you put it onto that, I bet you could fruit right off of that without any sort of cocoa coir or nothing, just right off the surface.
Yeah, I feel like they take a few transfers, but I bet you that with that logic, I think you could do that.
I've had a lot of small mushrooms grow off at the agar. Just they never grow big, and they hit the lid and curve over, and they die. But that's generally the cultures that I was neglecting and just didn't see right away. If I see a pin, I'm going to transfer that thing. But
I typically do that whenever I make a transfer. I make more than one, and I keep one off to the side as kind of a tracking transfer, where it's like, here's where I currently have this mushroom at, and here's all the transfers sitting on my shelf that has led up to that. And what happens is, because the pins pin off that, I'll choose the nicest pins that actually open up and sporulate, and I'll transfer those, and I'll have my own genetic lines off of like, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and here's like 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4. You know what I mean? And then eventually you got stuff that'll grow on anything, dude. I had one mushroom that'll literally seal the lid and it'll just pop out like 3 mushrooms a week for months.
Damn.
That's cool.
Damn. Yeah. Once I changed from, just going on agar and straight spore storage. Once you get into liquid culture, everything wants to. It's just hungry to grow. Like once you get that mass going,
I agree.
But I actually got to dip out. So thank you so much for having me on the channel.
Maui, thanks for coming on, man. Thanks for being a part of the journey. And I am really looking forward to seeing you again next year for sure.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm sure we're gonna talk again for sure.
100%. And look, Jay's back. Perfect timing.
There we go.
Peace
Jay,
out,
you with us, brother?
Much love.
Hey. It was great talking to you, brother. Much love, man.
Thanks for coming on. I'll talk to you soon. Oh, one up. I was going to ask where anybody could find him if he wanted to put himself out there.
Well, I mean, I don't think he does like a lot of social media networking around mushroom stuff. Like, I think he's more like personal account, so I'm not sure that he'll take much offense to it. But if he wants to, I'll share his account if he gets in contact with me after the show.
Awesome.
Well, I think that my uncle's pulling in now for working out, so I'm gonna get going here as well. It was great for you having me on, Chris. I mean, it was really a pleasure.
Caden, I appreciate you, brother. One more time, where can we find you? Where can everybody find you? And I also would like you to shoot me a text with the link also, so I can pin it down in the description.
Okay. I'm on Instagram. That's my real, I mean, I have YouTube as well, but I really only operate on Instagram. I respond to all my messages. I've taught a bunch of people how to grow, and that's the medicinal mycologist. No underscore, no space, all lowercase. And I'll send the link to him so you guys can find that in the description of this YouTube video. But I'll be posting this on my Instagram as well, so we'll be in touch.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for joining us, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye.
Jay, you're still with us. How you doing, man? Oh, no, he's out. Okay. Well, I guess that's the end. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I have. Honestly, I enjoyed the hell out of this. I may reach out to some of the other people who attended and do this again with them, because I'm really enjoying hearing everybody's stories and, just kind of sharing our journeys with each other. So I apologize again for not being able to follow along with the chat. I've been trying to look over and see everybody and at the same time keep up on the conversations. So let me see here. There was somebody in here. Steve. All right. I'm going to assume that you came through the mycology community, and I appreciate you being here as well. And thank you for stopping in. Papa Smurf, Ron, Mr. Chubby Hubby, Monkey King. I saw you in here too. And drop the mic. He's our brother from down under, down in Australia. But anyway, this has been interesting for sure, and I'm looking forward to doing this again. Steve, I kind of figured. I was keeping an eye on the chat, and thanks, man. Next year, brother, you should definitely, if you're anywhere close to Pennsylvania, it'll be happening at the Runnymede Farmhouse. RHONEYMEAD. That's where it's probably going to be held moving forward. Well, for Pedro, what's going on, man? It's good to see you. We're just kind of closing it down. It's been a trip so far. Let me see here. All right, so after I end this, I am going to post Caden's info down in the chat. There he is. Hold on a second. Caden, hang out with us for a second. I am going to make you a moderator so I can, you'll be able to drop your own link here in a second. Bear with me for 1 second. I'm going to mute my YouTube. All right, I got my YouTube muted. Oh, Jay's here too. Awesome. All right. So, Jay, I'm gonna add you as a moderator. And do us a favor. Drop your info down below. You can drop your link, man. Same, Caden, give me 1 second, and I'm going to have you added as a moderator as well. So, yeah, please drop your links down below and let us know where we can find you. And, yeah, again, thank you for everybody hanging out with me. Thank you for everybody for coming up on panel with me and just really being a part of the journey and adding to the memories. And anybody that was there with me, let me get rid of my YouTube side here because I think it's slowing me down a little bit. All right. So, but yeah, anybody that was there at the festival with me, just thank you for, making it all happen. Without the volunteers, it wouldn't be the same. And I may even go as far as to say, without the volunteers, the MycoFest wouldn't be a thing. Yeah. So I look forward to meeting everybody there again next year and hopefully making some new friends. Well, definitely making some new friends. That's going to happen without a doubt. But yeah. So everybody, I appreciate you coming in and hanging out with me. I'm going to end it here and go say hello to my beautiful girlfriend who walked in the door about 45 minutes ago. And I'm going to wish everybody much love. And I will talk to you all soon.